Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody. This is going to be a different show. I can't get in my goddamn studio because I got out here this morning and I can't find my password, and this thing logged me freaking off. I was getting on without having to use my password. You know how that is. You can get on this thing when they automatically already have your password in there. You don't have to remember it. Now, stupid assholes log me off my damn thing, and you know, that's another thing. One thing I want to talk about is you just can't no control over your own shit on the internet anymore. All these idiot, egghead internet idiots have to, like, do shit for you, and they screw your crap up every time. So it's going to be a different show. It'll probably be my last show. I won't be able to do a show this weekend because they can't get my stupid studio in because they logged me off my freaking thing. I freaking hate this crap. Too much paranoia, you know. Let me decide if I want security and what kind of security. So anyway, I'm going to talk about the government, okay, now, see, I'm trying to come up with a solution to run this country better, and my solution is we need to get rid of the federal government. We need to get rid of them. The thing is with them, the corruption, there'll be no calls, by the way, since I can't get in my studio. But anyway, it's like, see, there the government is, the federal government, it's so corrupt. All governments, all form of governments, you know, the corruption just goes so deep that you're never gonna pull it out. You know, it's like a garden. Look at a garden, okay? Like look at America like a garden of the United States. It's like, you know, the government's like a weed, okay? All the governments are like a bunch of weeds. And the roots, you know, the nasty ass roots just go down too far. You know, you're never going to pull them out. You're better off finding a new piece of land and planting a brand new garden. You know how you plant a garden. You separate everything. You don't put all the vegetables together when you plant. You plant the corn separate from the tomatoes separate from the carrots. You know, that's how you plant a garden. And unfortunately, you know, the United States is a kind of garden that's just one big mess. You know, it's just, and if you plant a garden like that, it's not going to grow right. That's why the United States isn't growing right, because I said this before, the United States is the same thing as saying Soviet Union. It means the same damn thing. It's just the United States is a kind of way of saying the Soviet Union. I mean, think about it. If you don't give the federal government their money, they throw you in jail. If you don't fight their war, they throw you in jail, like a common communist country would. So, and you know, I'm all about the South. The more older I get, the more I'm about the South. Everybody's talking about the Confederate flag. You know what? The Confederate flag stands for independence. I stand behind the Confederate flag before I'll stand behind the United States flag. Okay? I'll wave the Confederate flag over the United States flag any day of the week because I'm for independence. If you're for independence, you stand behind the Confederate flag. If you're for communism, you stand behind the United States flag. That's the way I look at it. Okay? And it's just like a garden, okay? I came up with this idea, okay? Like a lot of people probably came up with this idea. I think what we need to do is take this country, say for example, okay, the Soviet Union, okay, back when it was the Soviet Union, say Ukraine, Romania, they were states of the Soviet Union. They were states, much like Ohio is a state of the United States. Indiana is a state of the United States. So Ukraine and Russia, or Ukraine and Romania, back in the Soviet Union days, they were a state of the Soviet Union. And now since the Soviet Union has broken up, now they're countries. Ukraine's a country, Romania's a country. So who's the country that's really backwards? We are. Americans are the ones who are backwards. We're the ones that are living in the past, not Russia. Okay, we're the ones living in the past. All right? Because, you know, I mean, there you go. That's what you have to say. We're the ones in the past. We're the ones stuck in the past, the way we run our country. We need to do what the Soviet Union did. We need to break up this country from 50 states to 24 countries. We need to break this country up to 24 different countries. That's what we need to do. And the benefits outweigh the negatives. The positives outweigh the negatives if you do that. First of all, you're getting rid of a lot of government waste. And see, these are the people that need to start getting laid off, are politicians. They're the ones that that's the problem with this country. Okay, stop laying off the factory workers. Stop laying off, whatever. Start laying off politicians. start eliminating political positions. Start eliminating that. That's where you eliminate the political positions. And by doing this, dividing this country into 24 different countries, what you're going to do is, like the way I would do it is, it'd be 2-state countries. You combine 2 states to make a country. And by doing that, what you do is you take half the government from the one state and half the government from the other state, and you make that into one government. You're getting rid of, right there, you're getting rid of half the government waste right there. For example, okay, the way I have it here, I kind of come up with names for my countries too. I kind of blend 2 states together and I come up with names. It's a little fun thing to do too. Okay, here's how I would divide this country into 24 countries. First of all, I take Washington and Oregon, combine those 2 states into a country. I call it Washagon. Then I take California and Nevada, combine those two states into one country. I call it Kalavada. Then I take Montana and Idaho, turn it into Montaho. And I take Wyoming and Utah, turn it into Wyoma. And I take New Mexico and Arizona, combine those 2 states into a country, New Zona. Then you take North and South Dakota, you just call it the Dakotas. Here's a great example of government waste. You have North and South Dakota, population 1.4 million people, and you have 2 separate state governments. Do you really need that? Not really. I'm going to get back to Dakotas later on here. I got something else to say on that matter. Then you have Colorado and Nebraska. I call that Coloraska. You have Kansas and Oklahoma. You combine those 2 states into a country, Kenoke. Minnesota and Iowa you can combine into a country, Minoa. Then you have Missouri and Arkansas, called Missouri. Then you have Texas and Louisiana, combine those 2, Texana. Wisconsin and Illinois combined into a country, call it Wiskanois. Indiana and Ohio you combine, call it Indio. Michigan and Pennsylvania you combine, call it Mishavania. Kentucky and Tennessee, you call it Ken-10. And then you have the country I'd be living in, Mississippi and Alabama. You call it Miss Bama. And then what I would do is I take the Florida Panhandle and give it back to Alabama. That's what I do. The Florida Panhandle goes back to Alabama, and that becomes part of Miss Bama, which that's the country I'd be living in. Then you have the West Virginia combined with Virginia, call it the Virginias. And you take Florida and Georgia, turn that into a country, call it Florida. And you have North and South Carolina, just call it the Carolinas. Delaware and Maryland you combine into a country. Delaland. New Jersey and Connecticut would combine into a country, call it New Con. Rhode Island and Massachusetts would be called Rhode Mass. New York and Vermont, New Vermont. New Hampshire and Maine, New Maine. And then I would take Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico, and those would be neutral states. So, and like I said before, the positive part of that would be you could cut down on a lot of government, get rid of a lot of government, and just get rid of this communistic government called the United States government, because that's what it really is. I mean, I said before, the President of the United States is a freeloader. He's nothing but a worthless freeloader. He's a $500,000 doormat. That's all he is. He's a meet and greet guy. I mean, the guy he has everything else to handle all of his affairs for him, and he just, I want to take to Washington, D.C., put a velvet rope around it, and turn it into a tourist museum. Think of the past, ancient history. It's like, see, in the first place, we the people are supposed to be watching over the government. That's the way it's supposed to work. They work for us, which means we're supposed to watch over the government. But somehow it got turned around where, see, it's like we're the ones that need to dictate how the money in this country is being spent, because the United States government certainly doesn't do a good job at all. They do the worst job of anybody at that, okay? And they need to stop speaking for us because they do a shitty job at that part too. So it's about time we the people speak for ourselves. When it comes to dealing with other countries, we the people speak for ourselves. We don't need these stupid assholes, government officials, these freaking, bunch of, we don't need them speaking for us because, first of all, these government officials are fucking idiots. I mean, they're idiots. I mean, if they weren't government officials, they'd be either worthless real estate agents or be worthless freaking salesmen, And we don't need to spend our money anymore because they do a shitty job at that. So we the people need, and that's the way it's supposed to work, I thought. If they work for us, we're supposed to watch over them. So We don't need them. Screw them. Get rid of them. And but and everybody's talking about trade. Well, trade, just let nature take its course. That's that we have to get back to, let nature guide us. I mean, just go by, like, we could trade to just geographically, where apples and oranges, okay? I mean, you can't grow apples in Florida. You can't grow oranges in Washington. So, like, Washington needs Florida for their oranges, and Florida needs Washington for their apples. And wood, you say you have bamboo trees down south, you have birch trees up north. So it's like, if someone wants a bamboo floor in Minnesota, they have to go and trade with, the South. And at the South, if they wanted some birchwood furniture, they have to go north. So, there's a way of trade to it. So there's your trade. Then everybody's saying, well, we're our country's so big, we don't have to rely on other countries. We're like our own little world. We really don't have to import stuff from other people, because the only reason we started importing things from other countries is because we felt sorry for other countries, because we wanted to help them out. It's not because we needed to; it's because we wanted to do it. And we don't need to import things from any. We have enough. We're all this country's all service. I mean, we have our own. We just want to help these other countries out. We felt it was our duty to help these other countries out, so we started trading with them. But we don't need to do it. We don't need to trade with them. We have enough here to, we could build things ourselves here. We can sell everything here, and like our seaports. All you got to do is, just sell down the coast, coast to coast and around the American coastline. So we have 600 million people. That's more than enough people to be self-sufficient. And we have everything here we need. And, screw the oil. I'm going to get back to North and South Dakota. We need to get rid of oil. Oil is it's a tool of the devil, is the oil. And I did a show about this guy. I call him John D. Evil Fella. You call him Rockefeller. I call him Evil Fella. If there was such thing as Satan, he was Satan. John D. Rockefeller was Satan. He was the devil, okay? I'm going to go out and say it. He was the devil. It's like, just look at the guy. He was the wealthiest guy to ever live. Because he was the devil. And I remember that, I saw this History Channel special on him where they were talking about how he was supposed to meet with this Vanderbilt guy, and he was supposed to get on a train and everything. He missed the train went out off a bridge, or the bridge collapsed, and everybody in the train died, and he felt it was God's intervention, that stopped him from getting on that train. Well, I beg to differ. I think it was Satan's intervention that stopped him from getting on that train. I think it was the other guy. Because if you want to think about if Satan was going to get any kind of thing going in this world, it'd be oil. Because oil does way more harm than good to this planet, to people, to everything. Okay, you think of hell, you think of fire. What burns? What oil? Oil creates fire. Fire, you think of hell. So if Satan was going to, introduce commodity to the world, it would be oil, which John D. Rockefeller basically did. He was the devil, as far as I'm concerned. So, and it's just the thing is, it's like, why didn't we stick with steam power? Steam. It was driving ships. It was. Ships were. If steam has enough power to move ships, what more do you need? And we also need to go to maglev. I said this before. We need to bring maglev technology to America. Maglev needs to take the place of oil. The only reason it doesn't is because OPEC, see the way it works. This is the way it really works. Old technology won't allow new technology to exist until the old technology can figure out how to control it, how to take it over. And that's why you don't have maglev. See, maglev technology is in smaller countries. OPEC doesn't care because America is their bread and butter. This is where they make most of their money. So, they're gonna keep it from coming to America just for the fact that this is their nest egg. So, and we need to, it's just like, Dakota, that's, North Dakota, who cares? It's like, I have a saying, okay, you can have all the gold in hell, it's still hell. North Dakota is, you can have all the money in North Dakota, it's still North Dakota. So, That's another reason to get rid of oil, so we don't have to depend on North Dakota anymore. Because what I like to do with North Dakota is, like, okay, here's what you do. You take people in North Dakota, you give them, here's what you do. You go, okay, you tell them, like, if you want to stay in North Dakota, you're going to become Canadian citizens, because what needs to be done is everybody, if you want to stay in America, they're going to have to move down to South Dakota. And then what you do is you take North Dakota and you sell it to Canada to pay off the debt. You're probably going to pay off the debt better that way than with the oil anyway, if you just sell the state to someone else, the whole state of North Dakota. So, because, that's the thing about having two state governments for a state that small. Just condense everything down to South Dakota, and you sell North Dakota to Canada. And you tell people, if you want to be a Canadian citizen, stay in North Dakota. And I think, I'd much rather do that than keep talking with the oil up there, because, I don't care how much money you have. You're still human. You're still going to have to deal with the conditions. You're still going to have to labor in the conditions. All the money in the world, if if it's like, what I'm saying? All the money in the world isn't going to protect you from nature. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever. Everybody knows oil. Working on an oil rig is the most dangerous thing in the world, let alone working up in freezing temperatures. And so it's like, just get rid of oil. It's a tool of the devil. It's evil. It pollutes everything. It's nasty. It's dirty. It's it just does more harm than good. Oil, it really does. So. And then we can get rid of North Dakota. Don't have to worry about it, as far as I'm concerned. So, anything else I was gonna say? Man. So, I was gonna do a different show on here, but like I said, I can't get in my studio. Damn it. So, doing it off the cuff here. But yeah, man, it's just, I think we need to do that. We need to just because we need to get rid of this umbrella, whatever. And like I said before, man, I'll be living in Miss Bama. That's what they call Mississippi, Alabama combined. Miss Bama. That's where I want to live. I want to be in the South, man. I want to be reborn in the South. I love the South, man. I hate the North. I was actually, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my doing. I was born in Ohio. I wish I would have been born in Alabama. I would much prefer being born in Alabama. It's more flavor down south. South just has more flavor. It was what I experienced being in the North and the South. Food, flavor, music, everything just has more flavor down south. North to me was always sterile, wet, boring, and flavorless. It's like music. All the synthesized, flavorless, sterile music comes from the North, like Rush and Boston, all the synthesized crap. And all the true flavor music comes from the South, just like food. I hate seafood. I tell people this. I hate seafood. Seafood to me tastes like a wet sponge. It's flavorless. Wet sponge is. Seafood to me, it's all flavorless. It's like blue crab is shitty tasting barbecue to me. Eating blue crab is like eating bad barbecue. Bad watered down barbecue. That's what blue crab tastes like to me. And I say this all the time. I'm like, if we were supposed to like seafood so much, why did we sprout legs and leave the water? And I say because we smelled the barbecue. We smelled something better, barbecue. That's why we left the damn water. That's why we left all that crappy, nasty tasting seafood behind. We smelled the cows and the pigs. So that's what I say. And but anyway, because we need to start, we need to start looking. We need to start looking over the. I don't know how that ever happened. Where the government, because we're supposed to look out. We're supposed to watch out after them. We're supposed to, dictate where the money's being spent. We're supposed to dictate all that stuff. How did somehow it got all flopped around. So, because the government doesn't know how to spend the money. The government doesn't know how to speak for us because they're all a bunch of freaking, usually these politicians that run for politics they have the devil's tongue. That's all they have. Politicians have a devil's tongue. I've said this before. Devil's tongue is what it implies, a devil's tongue. I mean, all the dictators had them. Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, Napoleon, they all had the devil's tongue. I mean, look at them all. They're all little shrimpy little guys, you know. And I said this joke, I always make this point where I think what happened a long time ago is God, you know, when he's making people, you know, this guy, whatever, I'm just using it for example, he's making all these people, and he made all these big, strong guys. You know, he made some guys that were strong, some guys that were fast, you know, some guys that were, you know, smart. And, you know, he gave them each, you know, something to survive in the world. And he made these like misfit characters, all these misfit people, you know. They weren't strong, they weren't fast, they weren't smart, they weren't talented, they weren't skilled in anything, right? So he's like, I'm perfect, I'm God. I can't make rejects, I can't make misfits, you know. He goes, everything I make has to have a purpose, otherwise I'm not perfect. So he goes, I'm gonna take all these misfit creatures I made. They really have, you know, they're basically nothing. And you know what I'm gonna do? In case something fucks up with them, I can blame the guy downstairs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go reach down, I'm going to rip Satan's tongue out of his mouth. I'm going to break it apart and put it in the mouths of all these misfits. You know, these misfit cretins I made. And those misfits cretins came up, you know, the devil's tongue. He put the bits of the devil's tongue in their mouth. And those misfit cretins are the ones that turned into the politicians, the freaking, you know, dictators, you know, most of the millionaires and billionaires, most of the actors, most of the, you know, celebrities. That's what those people turned into, you know. And, you know, so now, you know, God made the biggest mistake in the world because really unfortunately, the most powerful thing to have in this world is the devil's tongue. The devil's tongue is like, that controls everything, is this guy with the devil's tongue. It's like land development. You know, most land development, you know, the guy I work for a land developer, and the guy wasn't, you know, he had the devil's tongue. He could talk the banks out of the money. That's all he could do. That's all he knew how to do was talk banks out of the money. He was good at it. That's all you need to know how to do, you know. But he was born to do it. It was like he just got a natural instinct of, like Hitler and Stalin, talking people out of things. I mean, he's just like them. He's, you know, he's kind of, you know, he's not a good-looking guy, you know, and he's just, he could charm you as soon as he opens his mouth, you know. He's got a son. His son's a big drug addict, big fat, you know, piece of crap. He's like, you know, 5'6", like 300 pounds. He's a fat pig. But as soon as he opens his mouth, he turns into like a 6'2", 225-pound model. You know, it's just like, you know, it's just, and it's just, you know, he's one of those cretins that God made. He's like, oh, I'm gonna give him a bit of the. So now God's like, well, I fucked up. You know, the devil's tongue turned out to be, you know, that. But what was I gonna say? But anyway, that, you know, and you know, the thing with the people with devil's tongue, see, I blame, you know, for, you know, as far as, you know, society going bad, I blame like financial planners, and I blame the people for hiring those people, because like my stepfather, you know, the guy I worked for, he was really good at like making money, and he was good at like spending it, of course, but he couldn't manage it worth a damn. Like most billionaires and millionaires, they're good at making money, but you find out they're not good at managing it. And 9 out of 10 times they have to hire outside sources to manage their money. It's those outside sources that blow all the money for them, you know. And, you know, people need to learn how to just, like, balance their checkbooks again. People need to, you know, not be lazy anymore and learn how to find their own property, because, you know, we need to start working out, you know, we need to start getting away from the financial planners. We need to start getting away from real estate agents. I mean, they're like they've been the leeches on this society for the last number of years. Have been, you know, it's just they're the ones that really been screwing everything up, you know. And financial planners, I call them worthless, needless middlemen. Real estate agents, financial planners. I mean, they've caused so much harm to people because, well, it's the people's fault for hiring them, you know. So you just got to stop hiring those idiots. Because most of them are dicks. Most people like that, you know, the personality becomes something like that, usually it takes an arrogant dick. Really. A lot of them turn out to be those type of people, you know. Arrogant dicks usually have the devil's tongue, too. That's how they become that shit, you know. And I think it was real funny because the guy I worked for, okay, he was an asshole. Most land developers are assholes. Okay, they're assholes. And it was funny because this guy I worked for was an asshole, And he used to brag because he liked to hire dicks. You know, assholes like to hire dicks, you know, because he always says, like, oh, dicks, you know, they're like, you know, dicks get things done, you know, because, you know, they don't care about anybody. They'll do whatever it takes to get the job done, you know. They'll screw anybody to get the job done. And this guy I worked for was an asshole who liked that. And his employee, he actually told me, he used to gloat about it all the time. I like hiring dicks. Dicks get the jobs done. You know, I don't like hiring nice guys. Nice guys are too, dicks will get in there and get it done at all costs, you know. And no one ever gave him this memo. You've heard the old expression, a dick always fucking asshole. It is true. It happens every time, you know. A dick always fucking asshole. No one gave him that memo because, you know what? All these dicks that he bragged about hiring, those are the ones that lost him his $110 million in the long run. So it's so, you know, it's so funny, you know. I started thinking about that, you know. It's like he used to always brag about that. Oh, I like hiring dicks. Dicks get the job done. Yeah, but dicks also like to fuck assholes, so I'm glad it happened to him. So, so anyway, yeah, Johnny Evil Feller. That guy was Satan. He was the devil. That guy was. If it was a devil, it was him. He was him. I'm telling you right now. The more I think about the guy, the more I, convinced. So, anyway. So long it's been. I think it's 26 minutes. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to add. I wish I could get in my studio, but I can't. Because I'm trying to remember what my password is. So I don't know. I'll be doing a show this weekend after all. I had a bunch of shows planned, and I could get on this early in the morning because I didn't have to type in my password, but then the fucking stupid thing logged me off. I hate when it does this shit. I don't know who does that kind of crap. Now I can't get back in, so screw it. Who cares? But I want to get this show in. But that's the way I feel, man. I feel we need to divide this country into 24 countries and start becoming more like, like I'm saying, we're the ones stuck in the past. It's Russia that's in the, United States is in the past. We need to break up our Soviet Union, which is the United States. That's our version of the Soviet Union. 24 countries. So I think that'd be cool. And like I'm saying, you combine, take half the government from one state, half the government from the other, and then you make them one government, and then you're getting rid of half the government in that area. So, kill a lot of birds with one stone with that idea. Anyway, so, I guess I'll go about 4 minutes. I'll make it a half-hour show. But anyway, I don't want to say anything else. I think that's about, we'll cover it. That's what I think. Damn, just take Washington, D.C., put a velvet rope around it, make it a thing of the past, ancient history, turn it into a giant tourist museum. That's what I would like to do with it. Pentagon, everything, that whole ball of wax. So, like I'm saying, man, if we just could become more self-sufficient, and keep everybody in America, we'd be safer. Everything would work better if we did it that way. We just concentrate 100% on everything we do on America, it'd be 100% better. And get rid of oil and fuck oil. Get rid of oil so we can get rid of North Dakota. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to rely on that. I don't want to have to rely on North Dakota. Sorry, I don't. To keep America, I don't want to rely on North Dakota at all. I want to sell it. I want to sell it to Canada. Move everybody down to South Dakota and get rid of that, empty shell of a state. Just sell it. They probably get maybe $1 trillion for it. Go towards the debt. New Mexico too. You might want to sell New Mexico. Sell New Mexico to Mexico for another $1 trillion. So all you're going to be doing is like moving the Canadian border south, and then you move the Mexican border north. So you can sell some of those states to China. Sometimes it's good to keep your enemies close. So you can keep an eye on them. So maybe we'll sell some stuff to China, and then they can have those crappy states, and then, if we need hostages, they're already next to us. You know what I'm saying? So if they want to play dirty, we'll just, but so that's a sneaky ways you can do things like that. All right, then. I guess that'll be it. I have 1 more minute. I'm gonna hang up out of here. And so that's my idea. Another thing to add is like if these states ever wanted to, say one couple of states wanted to join forces with the other, well, then you call it a co-op, okay? you do it in a co-op way where they're not going to be united. They're just going to be cooperative. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so you can do that too. Like, you're not going to be you're not uniting with the other country. You're going to co-op with the other country. Let's use a different word, co-op. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to it's not going to be a bond. It's just going to be, you're just going to help each other out. As far as what you need. So. Anyway, the kind of neighbor I want to be, I want to say this, the kind of neighbor I want to be is I don't want to be a neighbor that, offers my help. I'm the kind of neighbor where you're going to have to ask for my help, because when you offer your help, you're actually being real rude. When if you live next to a neighbor and, you see him say he's carrying something in and you just walk over there and offer to help, that's being rude. That really is. You're walking on someone's property without being invited. You're intruding. You are. And maybe the guy, it's like, what if the guy thinks that maybe you might be insulting the guy where he's might think, this guy, you might think he's weak or something. You know what I'm saying? That's why you always, the safest bet is to be asked for your help, because then you know what I'm saying. Then you're invited on the person's property when they, So it's better to be asked for your help than offer your help. It's more polite. It is more polite. And that's another backwards, way that we got to think it. So think about that once. It's rude to just barge into someone's property. And a lot of these people want to, offer help, become nosy neighbors. That's where the nosy neighbor comes from. Well, but I guess I'm going to get out here now. So I wasn't kind of doing it this way, but let's see if I can get my password back. I don't know. We'll see. So anyway, this has been w.o.c.k. I guess you could call this, it wasn't the Mike Masker, my matinee like it was supposed to be. I guess you can call this Mike Masker, Metro Matinee. I guess you call it that. So, and that'll be it. This is JRS at K13, and the mic is off.